So the first group of players I'll say I'm fading is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown. They're both going very high. Kyler Murray going off the board at QB5, and Marquise Brown is going at 35 overall. Now, this is not Dynasty. This is just best ball for 2022. This just feels a little expensive. You know what I mean? Just a little too much for me. And my problem is, and you're going to hear this theme a lot throughout this video, I just prefer other players in this range. So, I have about 2 or 3% Kyler Murray through 90 best ball drafts on Underdog so far this year. And it just feels like I'd rather have Joe Burrow. I'd rather have Russell Wilson. And then before him, I'd just rather go with Allen, Mahomes, or Herbert. So it's not that Kyler Murray's bad. It's just that I feel like his value doesn't match up for me for fantasy purposes. Also, he's going in a range of the draft where I'm drafting wide receivers and running backs. So there's a lot of factors here beyond Murray himself that is making it hard to grab him. Quarterback is one where you're either grabbing one early, which we have a lot of early round quarterbacks this year, or you're sort of waiting till the middle or late rounds. And I just find when I'm drafting early quarterback, it's one of these three. Maybe sprinkle in a little Lamar Jackson, who I also like more than Murray, or it's Burrow Wilson. So that's kind of one of the main reasons. Also, I'll throw out there with Kyler Murray, he was a great fantasy QB in 2020, and he was a great fantasy QB through the first half of 2021, but his rushing yards, I'm a little worried here. So yes, he was banged up in 2021, but almost all of his production the last 2 years in the running game has come in that first half of 2020. So if you look at this, see this stretch here? Let's take a look at this and see what we come up with. So he was basically averaging, if I can click, that would be wonderful. He was basically averaging 60, 70 yards and a touchdown. 67 rushing yards and 1.1 touchdowns. He had 10 rushing touchdowns in the first 9 weeks of 2020. Since that point, he's been a solid running quarterback, but more like that Russell Wilson upside than a Lamar Jackson upside. So I don't know that we're going to get quite as much rushing upside from Murray. And then if that's not the case, the last couple years when he's sort of been not running, it makes it a lot harder for him to be effective as a thrower. So, he does have some solid weapons this year. I like Rondale Moore in year 2. I like, DeAndre Hopkins when he's off suspension. And then I like Marquise Brown, but 35? What are we doing? What's going on here? 35 overall? What do you mean? Going ahead of Cortland Sutton, Ezekiel Elliott, Travis Etienne. I mean, these are all guys I'm attacking. Jerry Jeudy, those quarterbacks I mentioned. I would have Marquise Brown in, maybe 10, 15 slots later than that 35 ADP. This is a range I'm really not loving right now. I'm not loving the James Conner, but I will draft him. I will draft Jalen Waddle. I will draft DJ Moore. I only have one share of Marquise Brown right now at that price. I like him. I think he can get over 1,000 yards if things break right, but what happens when DeAndre Hopkins gets back there? And Kyler Murray hasn't been the highest upside passing quarterback. So I know we've just spent 5 minutes on this situation, but I'm fading this right now. For better or worse, I love Kyler. I think he's a great fantasy quarterback, sort of. But compared to these other guys in this golden era of QB play, I'm kind of fading Murray at this juncture. Things may change as we go on, but here we are.